too. How are you? Hey, see the cap that I put on mine? Yes. And if you're standing on Perkins, so you can get one of these. Good. How you doing? Doing well. How are you?
Yeah, Sarah. Sarah works for the county. She's been doing a great job filming it all.
Good job, Sarah.
Is this the same setup Patrick was using? Cell phone, little tiny mic?
Yeah, pretty much. Nice to meet you.
Small age, she's been signing.
It's got a good camera on it. All the stuff there.
Let her go ahead and say hi directly.
Here we go.
Well,
We're in Ukiah right now.
Good.
yeah.
No one cares.
How are you? Good to see you.
Sure.
Don't interrupt.
Yeah, it's the worst.
After last time, I remember to bring my glasses. Out here for the first one, I was standing like this like the whole time.
Because I'm still going.
Start in 1 to 2 minutes, like 1 minute later.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John McCallan. I'm the chair of the Mendo County Board of Supervisors.
Wait!
There you are. Show John. I'd like to welcome you all here. I'd like to acknowledge that we have many distinguished guests here to assist Mendocino and Lake counties as we begin the recovery effort. We have our Senator Mike McGuire, Assembly Member Jim Wood. We have Mark Ghilarducci, the Director of the Governor's Office of Emergency Services. We have Director Ken Pimlott of the CAL FIRE. We have Warren Stanley, the Commissioner of the Highway Patrol. We have General David Baldwin of the California National Guard. We also have Bob Fenton, Regional Administrator for FEMA. This has been a disaster for Mendocino County of historic proportions. Yes. We are just over a week from the inception of this event. 90% or approximately, from the looks of the map, of the fire damage occurred on the first day of the event when the fire broke out Sunday night. Unfortunately, there were 8 fatalities in Mendocino County, I believe all within the first couple of hours of the fire because it was so fast moving. It is a testimony to the dedication and commitment of the men and women of the Sheriff's Office and of all of our emergency responders, our local fire departments and medical emergency professionals, that the losses were kept to the level that they were. After the immediate evacuation efforts, attention turned to fighting the fire very effectively, again with all of our local agencies, CAL FIRE, all of the other resources that were called in literally nationwide to assist us. And I just think I want to take a moment to really thank all of the emergency personnel who helped us gain control of this catastrophic event so that now, just a week later, we can begin focusing on recovery. Thank you all. I also want to acknowledge that we also have Sheriff Allman here, who will be up next. We also have Sheriff Brian Martin from Lake County, and we have all of my colleagues, Supervisors Brown, Prosky, Jurdy, and Hamburg. We also have Supervisor Rob Brown and Supervisors Simon and Steele from Lake County. Sheriff Allman.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. You know what the facts are of the fire. Today was a good day. Today was a turning point for the county. All 8,000 evacuees have been allowed to re-enter either their house or the remains of their house. We're certainly pushing to get the names of the remaining victims to the press as soon as possible. We've released 3 names. The other 4 names will be released later today. One name we're hesitating on until we make the final determination of some other facts. I want to thank a couple people. Probably Mendocino, the Community Foundation has immediately put $20,000 into the hands of some of our evacuated residents. They've raised close to $200,000. CommunityFound.org, because people are asking what to do. The Red Cross is putting money into the hands of the evacuated people. Community Foundation is putting money in the hands of the evacuated people. Our district attorney just left. Our district attorney and I have met with Sheriff Martin regarding the crimes that happen after a fire, whether it's scrupulous con men, whether it's unlicensed contractors. I want Mendocino County to know we are certainly anxious to get the first arrest for a contractor who's operating outside of his license, or if he doesn't have a license. We are looking forward to prosecuting them, arresting them, and doing everything we can. Our job is to maintain public safety in this county, and we're really anxious to do it. Thank you for being here. I certainly thank the people behind me who have come from a long ways to assure Mendocino County that the action they've taken in Lake County to get them on their feet after the Valley Fire last year, and what's happening in Sonoma County, Napa County, Lake County, and Mendocino County, we're all going to be on the same page. And people need to know that when government gets on the same page, that's really and truly how we get things done. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carrie Brown, Mendocino County 1st District Supervisor. My district has been the most impacted.
Mic check.
Pardon?
They can't hear you, Karen.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that one's not going to help you.
Okay, I'll just speak louder. I'll begin again. I'm Carrie Brown, 1st District Supervisor, Mendocino County. My district has been the most impacted with this horrific event. In fact, for me, and I think Supervisor McCowan too, both growing up here, it's probably been the most dramatic event in our life. I want to thank also all the men and women of our law enforcement and emergency responders, and that's not only locally, but much beyond just being local. I do want to take just one moment to share something that probably none of you know about, and I want to give a special thanks. And that has to do with the fight to save the Pot Valley Project. in Potter Valley, in the hills of Potter Valley. That was it is our major source of water. Not only here from Potter Valley, all the way down to Sonoma County, but through Sonoma County and to Marin. That is a water source for 600,000 people. The little Potter Valley Volunteer Fire Department protected it extremely well until CAL FIRE was able to arrive and dedicate major resources. But really, I think CAL FIRE and Potter Valley Volunteer Fire Department, they took on the fight and they saved it. I also want to go on and talk about some of the major tasks ahead of us. And I want to also let you know there's going to be 2 community meetings. The first will take place actually Tuesday, October 24th. That's in Redwood Valley. And the Redwood Valley Municipal Advisory Council will be hosting the meeting. We are going to come forth with all of the county staff that's been assigned to the recovery in Mendocino County. And I hope it's going to be at the Redwood Valley Grange, and if it's bigger, we may have to move to Eagle Peak School. But
I'm grateful to be able to work with Assemblymember Jim Wood and these incredible public servants that are behind us. And I want to take a moment in particular to be able to acknowledge all of the firefighters, the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office, along with the Lake County Sheriff's Office for their amazing work over this past week. It's been one of the most hellish weeks, I think, in our region's history. The Redwood Complex fire will go down in the history books as one of, if not the worst, wildland fire in Mendocino County's history. I will assure you that the governor's office has been involved from the very first night, within those first hours when the fire started. Immediately, California Office of Emergency Services, CAL FIRE, the National Guard were dispatched to be able to assist in the firefight. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge FEMA. They have been here on the ground in Mendocino County, Sonoma County, Lake County, as well as the county of Napa for several days now. And they have been invaluable in their assistance in making sure that residents in Mendocino County and throughout our region have receiving the aid they need, whether it's in a shelter or when they start to return home. When requests have been advanced for services and requests have come from the local community, the governor's office has said we're going to write a blank check to ensure that Californians in particular, those here in Mendocino County and Lake County, are getting the resources they need to thrive now into the months to come, as well as in the years to come. This has been an unprecedented disaster. And I'll share with you, this has also been an unprecedented response. We've never seen so many firefighting resources from as many states as we have come into our region to make sure that we are getting the services that we need, that we're going to win this fight and tame this beast. I will finally say that we've also started the North Bay Fire Relief Fund. $3.5 million has been raised on behalf of Mendocino, Lake, Sonoma, and Napa County residents. $500,000 of that will be invested here in Mendocino County in the days and the coming weeks to come. It is now our honor to be able to introduce the Director of the Office of Emergency Services, the Director of CAL FIRE, National Guard, and FEMA to be able to give you a statewide update. And again, we cannot thank them enough. Their amazing work, and we are so grateful that they're here in Mendocino County today.
Thank you, Senator. And good afternoon. I'm Mark Gillarducci. I'm Governor Brown's Director of Emergency Services. First off, let me just say to you that this has been a tremendously trying time throughout the northern part of our state. Our thoughts, our hearts go out to you, to those who have lost homes, and unfortunately those who have lost loved ones. The situation throughout Northern California has been stressful. We've had fires throughout at least 7 counties, and have required the tremendous response efforts of all levels of government, local, state, and federal, mutual aid assets from throughout California and the western U.S. and even internationally to come in and support the various fires that were taking place. Chief Pemlott will talk a little bit about the firefight, but let me just say that while the fire operations have been going on, we have already begun the process of putting in a recovery strategy. And Supervisor Brown from Lake County was absolutely correct when he said this is going to take a while. Let me be clear. This is going to be tough. It will take time to work through. We all need to be working together on this at every level of government, and it's really a whole of community effort. Public, private, non-governmental, and the community at large working together with a set of objectives to move forward to make our community whole again. While there are a lot of damages as a result of these fires throughout Northern California, overall we're looking at close to maybe 8,000 homes of all the fires together, losses of 8,000 homes or businesses in Northern California. But to us at OES, every county remains a priority. Every county will continue to get the resources, and every county will continue to be in the execution plan for being able to build a recovery operation. Early on, the governor did declare a state of emergency, and he requested from the president a major disaster declaration. By the second day of these fires, the White House did approve a major disaster declaration for California. And FEMA, our partners, who you'll hear about in a minute, were with us every step of the way from the beginning and will continue to be with us throughout the entire recovery process. Tomorrow, there will be a local assistance center being set up at Mendocino College. I encourage you all, if you've had any sort of impact, to go to the local assistance center. At that center, there will be every local, state, and federal agency that you need to sit with. They will help you immediately register for federal disaster assistance. If you've lost critical documents like your driver's license or tax forms, they will be able to reconstruct those for you right at the site. And there'll be crisis counseling and other kinds of things for you to be able to talk to others who understand and can help you navigate through this process. So with that, let me just say, OES and the entire state family, all the agencies you see behind me, will continue to stay engaged. One team, one fight with Mendocino County throughout this duration in the coming weeks, months, and years until we have this whole thing completely put back and mitigated. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Ken Pemlock from CAL FIRE.
Thank you, Mark. Again, Ken Pemlock, Director of CAL FIRE. And as has been said, this has certainly been a challenging and devastating last 8 days in California. In the last 8 days, we've had over 20 fires consume over 213,000 acres, primarily here in Northern California. 40 lives were lost, have so far been identified as being lost directly to the fires, and tragically this morning, a water tender operator from a private company assigned to the Nuns Fire in Sonoma County was killed fighting the fire. This has been, again, a devastating event. Again, as Director Gallarducci said, our hearts, our thoughts are with everybody here in Mendocino County and across the state that have been impacted. We're making great progress. We are getting significant containment on all of the fires. Right here in Mendocino County, the Redwood fire, 35,800 acres, and at 50% contained. An even greater containment on the Sulphur fire in Lake County at 85%. So folks are really focusing on getting these fires wrapped up. We're not out of fire season in California. I know we've got some rain coming later in the week, and we're certainly hopeful for the impact that will have. But we also know this is California, and quickly behind that rain, we will be right back into north winds, dry conditions, and certainly we have Santa Ana winds for Southern California. So we are not out of fire season. We're going to keep our eye on the ball until we're done. I can tell you there are hundreds and hundreds of resources, firefighting equipment and personnel, almost thousands that have been moved into California in anticipation of not only wrapping these fires up, but the new threats that are out there. These resources are going to be used to help mitigate these incidents and take care of the new ones. Just in the last 8 days, we've had over 150 new fires, in addition to these that have started that we've put out that no one's seen. And I just want to reassure Mendocino County that you may not have been on the headlines for these fires because of all that was going on. You've been on the front page of the resource needs and the focus to get you what you needed. And my hat is off to everyone here. All of the resources, you did an amazing job to put this fire out, protect lives, and protect further damage. And this county's done an outstanding job. We're here for the long haul to support the recovery efforts with our partners. Again, thank you.
I'm Major General Dave Baldwin, the Adjutant General. I'm the Commander of the California Army and Air National Guard. The National Guard continues to support both Lake and Mendocino counties with a broad spectrum of military capability, including aerial firefighting, aerial mapping and damage assessment, and probably most visible here in Mendocino County, we've sent up 106 soldiers from the Los Angeles area to come provide assistance with security and, more importantly, to assist the population to get back into their houses and help return their lives back to normal. The National Guard is part of the communities of California, so we're in it for the long haul. So we'll be here standing beside the people of Mendocino County and Lake County for as long as you need it, any capability that we can provide. And I'll be followed by Warren Stanley, who's the Acting Commissioner of California Highway Patrol.
Thank you, Major Baldwin. As General Baldwin, as the General said, I'm the Commissioner of the California Highway Patrol. And for the California Highway Patrol, our hearts and prayers go out to Mendocino and Lake counties. We've had a number of people assigned to this event. Chief Gillingwater is here from our Northern Division. He's made sure that you've had all the resources that you needed from the CHP, and they've been very, very happy to work with Sheriff Martin and Chairman Altman in this endeavor. Like everyone else has said, this is going to be a long haul, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard, but you have all these agencies from the state of California, your local law enforcement, all the agencies from both the counties here that is going to support everyone through this. And by working together and staying on one team, we'll be able to get through it. So from the 11,000 men and women of California Highway Patrol, we are very happy to support you in this effort.
Thank you. I'm Bob Fenton, FEMA Region 9 Regional Administrator, and here today to talk about our programs. First, let me start off by thanking both the fire, police, and EMS staff who's done everything to save lives and structures during this event. What a great job they've done. And second, most of my staff are Californians, so our thoughts and prayers go out to you and for all those who have lost loved ones and homes in this event. And we're going to be here, as Mark said, not only from the beginning, but in the months and years ahead to help with the recovery. Right now, what we're doing is the President declared a declaration that allows us to help with debris removal and to reimburse costs to offset the firefighting costs, but more importantly, he's made our individual assistance program available, which individuals that are affected by these events can phone or register online. To register online, go to www.disasterassistance.gov, or to phone us. You can phone us at 1-800-621-3362. Again, 1-800-621-FEMA or 3362. I recommend that you register online. It's probably the easiest way to start the process, then phone us. As you can imagine right now across the country, we are dealing with many events and many Americans have been affected by disasters. So please register. As Mark also said, there will be an assistance center open, which we'll have staff at. In addition to that, I have staff roaming the county, registering people in areas of social gatherings. The type of assistance that you may be available for is things like rental assistance, home repair, home replacement, medical dental costs, funeral costs, child care, and other costs such as miscellaneous expenses for medical equipment and those kind of things. So start with the process by registering online. We've also opened our transitional sheltering assistance program. If you've evacuated and you can't get back into your home or your home's destroyed, we possibly could provide you a hotel in the meantime to stay at, so you have a place that's safe to stay at, and then get you into our program, look what other type of assistance we can give you. Thank you.
Carrie Brown, First District Supervisor, back again. You're hearing about all this assistance, both at a state and federal level, and I want you to know the County of Mendocino has formed a recovery team. That's part of the recovery process. And at this meeting in Redwood Valley on October 24th, we will have all the department heads present from the county to address concerns of all the residents. Also invited are those that have been impacted, Pine Mountain, as well as at the Ridge. All county residents are welcome. Thank you.
All right. Happy to open up for any questions anybody has and direct it to the right resources. Any questions we can answer?
Can you talk a little bit, Joe Rosado with NBC, can you talk about just what your boots on the ground are doing here right now, what people might be seeing? Or?
So let me start off with the CAL FIRE boots on the ground, which I'll have Chief Hemlock talk about, and then we'll talk about the National Guard and FEMA and the OES.
So right now here on the Redwood fire in Mendocino County, our obviously 50% containment. That's really, really good. We're very comfortable with where the fire is at right now. The firefighters have been out actually doing some planned burns to tie in, burn out the vegetation ahead of the fire and help solidify the control lines. And they're mopping up. They're ensuring that fires aren't going to rekindle. They want a good solid line around the perimeter of the fire. They're also working very closely with the repopulation team, which includes utilities, law enforcement, the county, to render neighborhoods safe so that we can get people back, and that's really the priority. So that's our focus right now, that the containment on the fire is looking much better, is to really focus on getting the residents back in, getting critical infrastructure restored so that things can begin to happen again.
Was there a threshold that you passed that you were able to let people back up? Because there's obviously a lot of work going on up there. I was just wondering, did you clear a certain point where you felt it was safe to let people back up?
I think the big focus for all of us, really, throughout all of these fires, was getting through this weekend. We had red flag conditions forecast throughout all of the fire areas throughout the weekend, which were going to be for low humidities and high winds. And obviously that was going to test all of our control lines. So I think we got through that wind event. People are feeling very comfortable. And now it's just a matter of hitting the right process and right triggers to get people back in the neighborhoods. And again, it's rendering them safe. We want to ensure there are no hazards that are going to impact any life safety there. Thank you.
Can CAL FIRE look forward with some kind of planning about intentional firing of the landscape so that as a preventative measure, the way the indigenous people and early ranchers knew that needed to be done in an annual type of thing? So at least, of course we have to put out catastrophic fires, but is there any resources maybe in the future, near future, of intentional firing?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you asked that question. In the last year and a half, CAL FIRE, along with many of our partners, have really turned the tide and are increasing our pace and scale of prescribed fire, actually putting controlled fire on the landscape under our terms to reduce the fuel loading so that when we do have fires, the intensities are lower and we can manage those fires and put them out quicker. As a matter of fact, this unit has been, in Mendocino County, has been one of the leaders in the state this last year in the amount of acreage they've burned. And quite frankly, we had a number of planned burns just within the last several weeks until the fire activity hit, and we've had to shut all those planned burns down. So I can assure you that once we get past these emergencies and we've taken care of people and we get back into windows where it's safe to burn again, we will absolutely restore our opportunity to begin burning again.
Well, I'd like to comment on that a lot of the probably more of the forest, maybe, I'm not sure about grasslands because I live in a forest, but it's not ready for any kind of firing. It needs a lot of manipulation, handwork, low impact work to manually reduce fire before you can burn.
Absolutely, and our program involves all of that. We go in and look at that. There's a lot of manual vegetation removal, fuel treatment that goes on to prepare landscape prior to the burn. So thank you.
Any other questions?
Does anyone have an estimate on the number of missing still being reported? Missing people? And are there ongoing search operations?
The question was,
how many missing are still
how many
out there?
people have been missing that have not been accounted for? And Mendocino can say 0. Yesterday morning we had 17. I had 8 people working full time on it to contact the evacuation shelters and relatives, and we have found all 17 of them. So we're going to stick with the 8 fatalities, but say that, and we're encouraging anybody out of the area to call our 24-hour hotline, 707-467-6428. If you have a relative in our community that you've not been able to contact, we would like to hear from you. Thank you.
I want to ask about people going back to their houses that have been burned down. We've heard a discussion that you should not disturb the houses. I just want to reiterate. And when is Cal Recycle going to show up, and that whole part of it?
So the question is when people return to their house, can they disturb the footprint of the debris and so forth? But we all know that there's certain valuables that they're going to be searching for, whether it's grandmother's wedding ring or who knows what. Do not disturb the footprint of the debris. Certainly if you need to search for valuables, use protective clothing, use a mask. The airborne contaminants are something that you do not want inside your body. But nothing that's inside the foundation circle or square should be taken out of debris-wise. If you find you're valuable, then that's it. The Sheriff's Office is continuing to work with the Highway Patrol, with tribal police, as well as the National Guard in patrolling for looters, that if they see an unattended house and they start doing it before you, but we're doing everything we can to identify people who are working inside houses to prevent any crime.
And we're working on a plan on the debris recovery operations now. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks we will have that worked out and moving forward. We're working with the counties and all the counties that are impacted, and the Cal Recycle's role in that will be laid out the next 2 weeks or so.
So what are kind of the next steps that people should expect to see?
Well, right now, really, the next step is that we want people to go into the local assistance center. We want them to register for disaster assistance. That is really the first step. It's the portal to opening up any and other kinds of disaster assistance that individuals may be eligible for. And so that's very important that they go to the local assistance center, which is at Mendocino College, and sit down with all of the different representatives that are there to walk through and get as much information as possible. From that, then once they register for disaster assistance, they get eligibility, they may be immediately eligible to get some money to be able to go into a hotel or some other longer term shelter, get out of the existing shelters that they're in, and they will get a framework of what do they need to do to try to get the recovery process going in their lives. So that's really the next step.
I was just going to add that there's many federal and state agencies that will be there at that center, and many different types of assistance from many different federal agencies. It's not just not FEMA, SBA's there, and many other agencies that may bring resources that may help individuals recover. So, as Mark said, it's a good place to start. Register, and that registration will be moved on to those other agencies.
I think Supervisor, you had one more question or comment? I think we're going to go.
Yes, thank you, Director. And again, the presence of all of these high-ranking state officials is a visible demonstration of their commitment that they are here for Mendocino County and Lake County for the long haul as the recovery progresses. Unfortunately, we are talking about the long haul. The recovery will be much longer than the disaster event, but we've already begun working on it. The Board of Supervisors tomorrow will be discussing ways in which the county can assist with the federal, state, and local disaster recovery efforts. Obviously, with winter coming, housing will be a critical need, and there's a lot of creative ideas being discussed on how we can provide temporary housing, working with many other community partners. The debris removal is critical, and with winter coming, initial containment to stabilize it so that the toxic material doesn't get into the watersheds will also be critical. I expect that we may give direction tomorrow to form a recovery task force that will meet on a regular basis to keep all of our state, federal, and local community partners in the same information loop and actively discussing the ways in which we can assist with the recovery. And again, the local assistance center will be opening tomorrow at Mendocino College, 1000 Hensley Creek Road. There will be a multi-agency support center there with virtually every resource that fire disaster victims will need in order to help them get back on their feet and access whatever assistance is available. Again, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.